Now we are going to continue to learn more about our healthy eating tool in our toolbox. As we mentioned last week, having diabetes does not mean that you can never eat your favorite foods or that you have to buy special foods. Rather, it means learning how to make healthier food choices, watching how much food you eat, and eating some foods in moderation. Every person with diabetes eats a bit differently, but all can eat healthfully. Therefore, in this class, we are not going to talk about following a special diet, but will offer guidelines for making healthier food choices. These guidelines are good for everyone, but are especially important for people with diabetes, as this is one major way to reach and maintain our target blood sugar levels. Let's briefly review the principles of healthy eating. 10 guidelines for healthy eating. Number 1, eat a variety of foods. Number 2, eat meals and snacks regularly. Number 3, eat breakfast every day. Number 4, eat about the same amount of food from day to day. Number 5, be aware of how much you eat of each food. It is easy to confuse serving size with portion size. Number 6, limit sweetened and sugary drinks. Number 7, limit salty foods and use of extra salt. Number 8, choose fats that are better for your heart. Number 9, go for whole grains. Number 10, limit processed foods. Before we talk more about healthful eating, we need to talk a little bit about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Proteins build and repair muscles and other tissues and give us energy. We get most of our proteins from foods like meat, fish, dairy products, and some vegetables and some grains. Fats are necessary for energy and to digest some vitamins. Some fats are actually beneficial. However, all fats, whether they are beneficial fats or not, can put on extra pounds. Some fats can even cause problems, especially those that are solid at room temperature. Those solid fats can lead to heart problems, which are the number one killer of people with diabetes. We will talk more about fats next week. Carbohydrates are our main source of energy. They also keep our brain functioning. Of all foods, carbohydrates have the greatest effect on your blood sugar because almost all carbohydrates break down into glucose. No matter what you have heard, carbohydrates are not bad, but managing the amount of carbohydrates you eat is critical for people with diabetes. Sugary and starchy foods are our main sources of carbs. Sometimes we call these high carbohydrate foods because they have about 15 grams of carbs per serving. Let's think about what foods are high in carbohydrates. What are examples of high carbohydrate foods? Some vegetables such as potatoes, yams, peas, winter squashes, corn, and plantains are high in starch. Legumes such as dry beans, peas, lentils. Grains such as rice, wheat, barley. Fruits and fruit juices, milk and yogurt, syrups, jams and jellies, cakes and cookies. Here are some simple facts about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are found in cereals, grains, sweets, fruits, vegetables, and starchy foods like rice and potatoes. Dairy products like milk and yogurt also contain carbohydrates. For this reason, even ice cream and other foods marked as low or no sugar may contain carbohydrates. Whether a carbohydrate is sugary or starchy is somewhat important since all carbs affect our blood sugar the same, but it is not most important. What is most important is the total amount of carbohydrates that you eat. Sugary liquids like fruit juice and sodas, however, can affect your blood sugar more quickly since they digest more quickly. Some carbohydrates are better for your overall health than others because they also provide vitamins, minerals, and fiber. These are whole grain products, vegetables, fruits, and some dairy products. There is not an ideal amount of carbohydrate for someone with diabetes. This is very individual. A registered dietitian, also known as a registered dietitian nutritionist, RD or RDN, or diabetes educator can help. Have you noticed that your blood glucose was higher after some meals than others? Generally, the more carbohydrates we eat, the higher our blood sugar. Now, let's open our books to page 186 and learn more about determining how many grams of carbohydrates we are eating. This will help us plan our meals. Here are the guidelines for a healthy meal. Protein, 1 to 2 servings of protein. Carbohydrate, 2 to 4 servings of food high in carbohydrates. About 15 grams per serving of foods like rice, dried beans, bread, potatoes, milk or dairy, fruit. As a general rule, 45 to 60 total grams per meal. 2 or more servings of low carb or low calorie vegetables. Around 5 grams per serving. Fat, 1 to 2 servings. Vegetable oil, nuts, peanut butter, higher fat milk and meats. Processed foods may have fit-in fat servings. Note that for each food there is a serving size. You must use the serving size when calculating the number of carbohydrates in a food. A portion is what you put on your plate or actually eat. It may be larger or smaller than a serving. The most important thing to remember is to watch how many servings you are actually eating and that your emphasis is on foods that are lower in carbohydrates. Since nutrition is such an important part of diabetes management, the American Diabetes Association recommends that all people with diabetes meet with a registered dietitian who has diabetes training to develop a meal plan that works for them.